Well, in our last lecture, I'm sure everybody can see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. In our last lecture, we did some modal verbs, which I told you have something to do with your mood, and they always take infinitive after them. That is that simple. But one more thing but some of them at least three of them were left. And I told you that before we begin with our next lesson, we'll cover them. And today is the time to cover leftover models. Our next model is need, which we call a semi modal verb. That is need, and what we call need, we call it a semi modal, a semi modal verb. It is a semi modal verb. It is a semi modal because it has it has two uses. It is used as a verb, as a main verb, as a main verb, and then it can be used as a modal verb, as a modal verb. As a modal verb. So it has two two uses. Let us see when need is as a modal verb, how we use it. Mostly we use need with negative or with a negative pronoun, which we call indefinite pronoun. And what are indefinite pronouns? Indefinite pronouns which we use with need, they are something like indefinite pronouns like like no one or nobody or nothing or maybe others. Okay. For instance, nothing, nothing, nothing. Let me see it. Yes. For example, he need not know this rule. Okay? It is not for him. Here you see structure is slightly different. He need not know this rule. Mostly, what exactly we do, we we use with when the subject is singular, we use needs and not need. Okay? With he, she, it. We exactly what we do. We add s or es here. Okay. But in this case, if you use s or es, that will be incorrect. Incorrect. So you need not use it. What exactly you will use? Your structure goes something like that. That you need not know this rule. He need not know this rule. I need not know this rule. So here, as or yes doesn't apply in need in in a modal situation. Let us take another example and see how we'll build another sentence with need. We need not purchase purchase these items. We already have them. Okay. Another, sentence. We need not purchase these items. We already have them. It's a kind of, negative obligation. The obligation is not to purchase. Why? Because you already have that thing. So just focus on the structure, and the structure will become more handy when you practice it. Okay. Uh, Let me underline need not here. Just to remember the structure. Okay. And what about a questioning in such a state? If you want to ask a question, what you will do then? Let us shift our work to the next side of the board and see how we can deal with questions, questions with need. And in a question, what exactly you do, you bring need in the beginning. Need, I drive fast, or we are getting late. Now here mostly uh, the idea, some people would say that it, shouldn't it be do I need, do I need? But in models, I would go with need in the beginning. Need, I drive fast, for we are getting late. Need, she she slowed down her lessons as she is too quick to understand. Need she slow down her lessons as she is too quick to understand? Okay. Now here, let us try to understand this last structure. Need she slow down her lessons? Now, what exactly the sense is? The sense is that of obligation, that of obligation. And what kind of obligation is? The obligation here is that of getting slow. Let me fix the color first. Need she slow down? Need she slow down? Slow down. Okay, no, that's not a very accurate line. Let me get this line. Need she slow down? Okay, need she slow down? Okay, up till this point. Now, how will you interpret it? What exactly this idea is? Let me write down what it means. It means, is it obligatory to her or for her to slow down? Okay. This is the sense which obligatory is something very, very important or necessary. So here, the necessity or the obligation is important, and there is a question. And if you think that boys or her students completely comprehend her, what will be your answer? Your answer will be,
No,
let me let me select the color. What will be the answer?
no,
The answer will be, she need not slow down. They are comfortable with her lessons. So this is something uh, which makes sense here. And at this point, I'll just stop for a while and come to you and see if you are with me and you are understanding everything. Does it make sense to you?
yes, sir.
For how many of you it's very clear? Okay,
Get
okay,
clear. Yes, sir.
clear,
Clear.
clear. Okay, thank you. Yes, here, that's a good thing you have pointed out. Did she slow down her lessons as she is too quick to understand? Now, here, what exactly I have done? I have missed a question mark, so I'll do it now. Here, let's get to the right color and then put a question mark here. Okay. So here comes a question mark. Okay, that's done. What if need is in past? Let us see it as well. If need is in past and you want to make a negative sentence, what kind of your sentence structure would be. Okay, need in past, need in past. Okay. When need goes in past, it works something like that. I did not need to attend this seminar. Okay. So here exactly what you have done, you can use did not structure, then simple base form of need, and then the rest of the sentence or whatever you call it. Okay. So it will be negative in past. Okay. In present, if it is need, it is negative, you simply put the structure of need not, and that will work for you. Okay. Now our next, let me scroll it down. Our next model which I want to discuss, that is ought to. Ought to is is another obligation or a modal verb which which is used for obligation. And what is obligatory or what is obligation? Obligation is you think that it is important to do it. That is obligation. Ought to, ought to structure. Okay. Like you ought to respect your elders, or you ought to follow religious religious codes. Okay. Something which is obligatory and it has more emphasis than the emphasis of should. You can use ought to for it. Okay. And what if when you turn ought to in a question, ought comes in such a situation in the beginning. So you create ought he, ought he to, ought he to slow down, or ought he to uh, follow ethics. That can be at least one kind of question. Ought he to follow ethics? Okay. And likewise, you can use not with ought structure and change it into a question, into a negative. For example, he or she she oughtn't go to go to that limit. It is too much for her. He oughtn't go to that limit. Now here you see, oughtn't is a negative structure. So I have shared with you all three structures. When it is positive, let me write it as well for you. When it is completely positive, you ought to respect your elders. This is something very, very positive structure. Okay. or assertive. Okay. Now the second is when there is a question. Okay, and that becomes your question. Question. I will only write Q for question here. And when it becomes a negative, so I will write just N for you. So that becomes a negative. This is perhaps the best N so far I can draw here for you. So that was ought to. And now I am left with two more models. One is used to, and the other one is would structure. Used to and would structure. Let me extend my board line and then I'll go with it. Okay, fine. Now, first of all, used to. And let's see when we use used to structure. Used to. We use used to structure for past habits and states. Okay, this is something very important to understand. What is a habit and what is a state? Okay, let me underline habit and then state. Habit and state. Past habits. And I will elaborate both of them separately in separate constructions. And when I use the word in grammar class construction, I mean a sentence. Always remember it. Let me write it for you here. That construction in grammar, construction in grammar equals a sentence. Construction, construction, construction. Construction, very difficult construction. Yes. Construction equals a sentence. Thanks God that I have got just single S to write for sentence. Construction equals a sentence in grammar. Let us see what is a habit. A habit is something which you repeatedly do, and if you do it in past, I mean, if you have done it in past, you can use used to structure for it. And the second is state. Now, what exactly state is? You can be happy, you can be gloomy, you can be very optimistic, or you can be very pessimistic, or you can be jolly. So all these are different states. For example, for example, you want to say that in past you remained very happy. Okay, let me first write it and then I'll form a construction which says almost same thing. In past, I was I was very happy. This is something you want to say, and you look for a parallel in grammar with the help of used to. Okay, and I will go for a sentence which says I used to be a happy or a very happy. very happy person. Okay. This is something here. This is something which is completely equal, almost equal to the first sentence. Now, what exactly it is this? It is whether it is a past habit or a past state. Anyone? I used to be a very happy person. My question is, should I write under it past habit or a past state?
Past state.
Yes, you're right. It's past state. So let's write past state for it. Past state. Okay. Here we have past sentence. It is our past state. Okay. Now, then what kind of habits we can discuss? We can discuss all kinds of habits which we repeatedly did in our past by using used to structure. Let us write it. For example, I used to, let me change the color. So for state it's green, and for for habit let's make it yellow. Okay. I used to dine in the university cafe when I was doing my research. Here in this example, I used to dine in the university cafe when I was doing my research. Now here let me explain it. I used to dine. I used to dine here. Let me underline it before I say something about it. I used to dine. What sense does it make? I used to dine. What exactly it does? It shows it shows a repeated action. A repeated action. Let me write it here. Repeated action of dining in the cafe. Dining in the cafe. This is a repeated action, not a state. Okay. So I have given you one example of a past state and one that of a repeated action. A very similar structure, a very similar model is there, which does half of the job what used to does for us. And that last model is wood structure. Wood structure. Let us understand wood structure before we go ahead and do some part of the lesson. And let's take some other color for wood structure. Okay. What exactly wood does for us? Wood wood does half of the job, as I told you. That You can use would for past habits, for past habits, but let me capitalize it, but not for past states, past states. For instance, if you say, if you write a sentence something like that, uh, I have left with only this little space. He would, he would uh, bicycle, bicycle on the countryside in in his in his 30s, in his 30s. He would bicycle on the countryside in his 30s. Now, in this example, that is also a repeated action, okay? A repeated action, and that is something, the repeated action is, or that of his bicycling. That is it. He would bicycle on the countryside, okay? That is a repeated action that he did it in past. But mostly we don't use uh, would for past states. So that was all for from from modal verbs. Okay, I hope it makes sense to all of you. Okay, and now what exactly we are going to do? We are going to do some part of leftover part of the exercise, and all of you get at page 19. Our question reads: use appropriate models too. Okay, and what exactly I want you to do, I would like you to do it in your notebooks quickly, very quickly. For example, describe your three abilities and capacities, and then think which model can you use here, okay, in order to describe your capacities. I can give you a hint. For example, you can use can for your capability or capacity, and then you seek a permission from your teacher, and then you ask something, ask your friend to do something for you, and then you express necessity, and then duty, obligation, and then share some past habit. Okay, now here I take a pause and give you at least 5 minutes time, and then write and do this activity here in the classroom. And if you face any problem, you can of course ask me, and I'm here to help you. You get the idea? Do you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead and do it.